pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business to be approved minutes from last week.
Make the motion.
Tim moved,
Second.
Jesse seconded.
Which minutes are we approving?
Pardon me?
Which minutes are we approving? All of them?
Oh, that's right, there'd be two sets, I apologize. We'll motion to approve Monday, July 26th. So Tim's moved, Jesse seconded. Any discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Second set of minutes will be from Wednesday when we're doing checks and vouchers, July 28th. Any motion?
Make it.
Don's moved,
So moved.
Tim seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Miscellaneous motions will be moved to retain auditors Jared Gilmore and Phillips, PA, for the preparation of the 2021 audit and the 2023 budget preparation.
So moved.
Jones moved,
Second.
Jesse seconded. Any discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. That list was short. Jerry,
Just walk.
did he? There he is. Perfect timing.
Okay, you guys ready for me?
Oh, yeah.
Great. How's everybody today?
Mine good.
Thank you.
Well, mainly just wanted to give you guys kind of a monthly update of what's going on at the hospital and our services. As far as our remodel projects, those are coming along nice and starting to wrap up. Planning on being done the week of August 23rd for both the clinic and the emergency room. Really probably would have been done a couple weeks sooner, but there's a couple of supplies for some door things that we're on about a 12-week delay on ordering. So as soon as those come in, then that project will be able to finish up. Then remaining funds that we'll have for use of our COVID allocations is about $730,000. The reason being that we got to carry that over was that we received some funds after July 1st of 2020, and they extended the deadline to be able to use those to the end of this year. So we're continuing to do some smaller projects with those funds. Also, the Meadows has a couple of projects going on right now. They're going to get some of their countertops replaced that the glue had released and the Formica had started coming up on. So as soon as we get that finished, we're also doing a small sidewalk project in the courtyards to be able to allow family to visit. When the Meadows was built, we put sidewalks on the front side, but not the back side. And with this COVID, we kind of realized that there's a lot of family that can visit their outside porches, but they were the ones that are on the back side of the Meadows were having to walk through the grass instead of using the sidewalk. So working on those projects, and then received some more money for education for the vaccine. So our rural health clinics are going to be doing a little bit of rollout of doing the vaccine through all of our clinics and making that available to the community. So we received about $100,000 per rural health clinic that we have, and we have 4 rural health clinics. So we're going to be able to use that for the rollout of that project. Other than that, I know you guys know we were working on our electronic medical records and that. So They did, the company that we're currently with did extend our end of life, our support until the end of 22. So that gave us a little bit more time to make a decision on which vendor that we want to use. So we're probably looking at the next 30 to 60 days of finalizing some analysis that we're doing on the cost of all those electronic medical records companies to decide which one's the best fit for us. And then you guys may know, but we do have a vacancy coming up in one of our leadership roles. Our chief nursing officer is going to be open as of August 13th. So we're advertising for that, and if we don't receive qualified candidates here in the very short future, and probably in the next week, we're going to be looking at maybe bringing on an interim chief nursing officer to help us out until we get somebody hired. And then just wanted to quickly go through our financials for June of 21. So we did have a really good month as far as our gross revenues. We had the highest gross revenues that we've had this year so far. I've been looking at our clinic numbers as well to just kind of use that as a comparison of where we're at, and we have hit our first month since 2019 comparatively that we exceeded our clinic numbers. So those are both positive things. We had about 3.7 million in gross revenues, which was the highest so far this year. Getting our cost report, it got wrapped up last week. We got a letter saying that we're going to have a receivable about $436,000. That's mainly because we're cost reimbursed and the added expenses that we've had. But they are trying to wrap up our audit still. We have until the end of September, but we'll probably have that wrapped up this month. Mostly they're just looking at the numbers to see how to make that where it will benefit the most from all the COVID expenses that we've had. And that's mainly the reason we waited to do the audit is until the cost report was final. So, if you guys have any questions for me that I can answer.
You mentioned maybe doing vaccinations at the clinics. My understanding is that the vaccination, they come 10 shots in a vial. How can they give 1 or 2 and maintain the other 7 or 8 that's in that vial?
Yeah, so
is that possible, or is that a loss?
So we don't pay for the vaccine, but there is some waste if they don't get at least 10 people.
So they still have to have
scheduled.
10 people one time when they lose?
Well, within a certain amount of time, yeah. Some of them are, and I'm not an expert on the vaccine, but some of them require some dilution and mixing, and then some other ones don't. But I know that that's one of the reasons why some of our local pharmacies are keeping a certain brand in stock, because it will last a little bit longer without having to mix it. And that's also one of the reasons why we don't have the ability right now in our community to give people under the age of 18 the vaccines, unless they go to the pharmacy and request them to put that in stock. But I know nobody really wants to waste the vaccine right now, but I have heard that there's a lot more vaccine available than there was in the beginning.
I don't have anything. I just couldn't see if anybody else did. But
I did mention to one of our commissioners before we started, I visited with you last week.
Yeah.
Getting the consolidated report down to where it would be a little bit simpler to understand and take a look at where your departments are at.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that with the CFO coming back this week or next week,
Yeah.
try to put some kind of little format together that would supply that information.
Yeah.
And I think we'd all appreciate that.
Yeah, something maybe a little bit easier.
Maybe not have to be done
Yeah.
monthly, but quarterly.
Yeah.
Quarterly. To me, quarterly probably.
Yeah.
Enough, but
Yeah, I don't want to provide you guys enough information that that you can see, not just the bottom line, but a little bit of how we came to that as well, because sometimes if you just look at the bottom line only, you don't know how we came to that number. It'd be good to know between the contractual adjustments and all that. So we'll work on that, and Juanita is back this week, so we'll work on some spreadsheets and see if we can find something that kind of is in the middle of the road for everybody. Probably throw it into Excel or something. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Stan?
Here for a little bit of information and hopefully a little bit of support. As you know, nuisance properties and gravel roads are two of the largest issues in the city of Burlington. And we're looking at setting up policies where we can expedite response to nuisance properties, and also working on how we can get a better response from those owners that live outside the city limits or outside of the state or in other cities or wherever, not only for their properties that they own here in town for the nuisance side, but also for the allocation of funds to do their portion of the street improvement program. So I guess I'm here looking at a direction from the county as to respect to, I know in the past when we have had structures that were torn down, we've been able to get a waiver to handle those at the landfill. When we put bids out, we get bids mixed. Some charge a fee for landfills, some of them don't include it in their bid. We want to be able to include in all of our bids that landfills for this structure will be waived, so that we get common bids that we can now look at and compare without knowing exactly how they do it themselves. We want to be able to say there's no fees at the landfill. We appreciate the fact that hopefully there's going to be a sheriff's sale coming up pretty quick. We have a considerable amount of properties that's on that list. We hope that once that sale takes place, we'll be able to eliminate and relieve some of the pressures with respect to those particular properties. However, we're also sure that there may be some issues that still arise with it, even with the new owners and response time to get things accomplished. So we're looking at establishing a line item budget within our city budget that will be in the next year's, this year's budget. With the Senate Bill 13 has kind of restricted us in doing some expansion of some things. And at the time of establishing these funds, we didn't know, and we were looking at so many different options. We wanted to get a feel for whether or not there was any one-time seed money financial support from the county in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $30,000 to assist us in getting things in place so that we can then approach these projects on a faster timeline. Because otherwise, if we have some funds and we get more projects than what there is, we have no way to move funds around within our budget lines items, and I'm assuming the county is the same way. So or is there a way to use a portion of the infrastructure funds that could be reallocated to handle the demolition of structures that's necessary? Because right now it goes strictly to parks and the streets. And we would be looking at maybe a $5,000 or $10,000 a year out of each of those 5,000 out of the street projects to utilize any of those funds, but that would take a change in how we can use the funds. So we're looking at multiple options, and we're trying to figure out once we get the options in place and determine what we want to do. We don't want to have something come down that says, oops, you can't take funds out of the infrastructure or oops, the waiver for this particular project isn't gonna fly. We're just looking for some stability in the direction that the county commissioners want us to take in some of those items. It would be great if we had some initial seed money to help us, because we're gonna have to put in about $15,000 that we can put in for this upcoming year. That'll handle maybe 3 properties at the most, depending on the size of the property. And whether or not we got basements to take care of and the whole shop. So my purpose here today is to kind of get some direction and feeling from how you as the commission feels that we should be approaching, or if there's any support or documentation that we can receive to support the waiver of the funds or the reallocation of the infrastructure funds. So I'll kind of leave it up to you to give me a direction that you feel would be feasible and workable with the commission.
Well, I don't think anybody that's came here so far this year, or even last year, has been denied landfill fees waiver.
I'm not aware of any either. It's just a matter of when we put a project out for bid, we want to make sure that if we include that the fees are waived, that they truly will be without already having come and talk to them.
I don't know if it's written or if not, it was, but actually before any of these people were here, the commission decided quite a few years ago that in lieu of giving money to clean up properties and everything, we would waive landfill fees for cities, housing authority, and basically anyone who wanted to clean up a property. We would waive landfill fees. Now, I don't know whether that was ever written or whether that was just a general consensus, but we've been following it ever since.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody's been denied waiving.
Then what we'll do is for every bid that we put out, we'll put in there that the landfill fees will be waived for that project. That will be a relief to know that when we do put one out for bid, that we can include all that information.
Is there any interest on the city purchasing some of these properties that might be coming up in the auction?
My gut reaction is no. Okay. There may be some support in helping clear up the situation, but I would think that the better source would be the housing authority, because they then in turn will probably have it built on. We have a little bit of a restriction with respect to that. Not that somebody maybe from the city, on a personal side, would buy some property or something, but
But as far as the city is.
as far as the city is concerned, no. That's not in a budget item, and it's also a slight issue with some of the statute stuff with home rule stuff that we have.
As far as the infrastructure money goes, I mean, I don't
If we're only talking 15 to 20,000, I mean, that's,
It's
in my
helping,
opinion,
it's helping the city out.
oh yeah, and well, and it's helping the neighbor out on property values.
Yeah, kind of what we want to do is we want to set up a fund and set a maximum on it. And then each year, if we spend money out of it, then we would replenish it and bring it back to that level. If we don't have, and then maybe the sheriff's seal will help us on this, is if we don't have any expenditures for demolition, then that fund is there and we don't add any more to it. We just keep it at that specific level. We've been keeping somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 grand in there, but that only handles 1 or 2 projects, and we've got a condemnation hearing coming up. That's probably going to take the remaining funds that we have in there until the new budget line item gets approved in September or October, whenever the final numbers are approved.
I guess they probably, that number probably needs to be doubled to 10,000,
Yeah.
closer to 20,000.
My thinking on infrastructure is when the commission set the infrastructure, and that was before, any bus. They had a purpose for why they put restrictions on it. We have made exceptions to that before. And I'm not for making an exception of, we'll let you do this year and you can just do it. To me, it's a one-time deal. If it needs to be done, then I think it should be requested yearly, if that's what you want to do yearly with it. But I don't want to start changing what there was. It's kind of like a forefather that built the Constitution and everybody wants to change it to suit them. And I'm not in favor of that.
I think we can set up the initial fund and then be able to include in budget items forward to maintain that fund. We just need to be able to get it to a spot that we can function and work with it and address issues at the time instead of delaying and saying, well, we can't do this until next year because we don't have any funds.
And I think if the city feels that that is more important to spend that money there than somewhere else one time, I'm not opposed to that.
Okay.
That's me.
No, I wouldn't be either. I mean, I think
I say any
it's an
city,
evil
as far as that
necessity is what
goes,
it is.
you know.
Well, I mean, it's any city.
Yeah, any city, you know, if you feel that that's what needs to be done, that's what.
And I'm pretty much set on the fact that it's a one-time thing to get to a level that then we can support on a regular basis.
How much are you looking at?
We're looking at the max, we want to set a $35,000 base. We're at 15 now.
Yeah, 15.
So that would put us something in the neighborhood of 20 grand as a one-time draw, a portion out of the parks, a portion out of the streets. And once again, if it becomes an issue with our projects for the streets and parks, we may not be able to do it this year. We may be able to just have to operate with what we have. You know, I know money has issues. And we have funds coming in from the federal government, but they're designated for specific items. In fact, they haven't finalized all the items that we can use those funds for. We're not looking at using them on the broadband. We're looking at whether we can use it for stormwater or fresh water or wastewater, or can we use it for streets, can we use it for this? They haven't told us yet what the options are. We've got time. We don't have to identify a project until 2024, and we don't have to have the project completed until 2026. So we have some time. It's just a matter of the funds are coming in, they're allocated into a special account, and they're staying there until a project that was acceptable to the whole program to work. So what we'll look at doing then is including in all of our bids for demolition that the landfill fees are waived. And we will look at the priority within the infrastructure funds as to whether or not we can move funds from there and to support this fund and get it established. And hopefully, the sheriff's sale will eliminate a
That
lot
might
of our.
possibly be a waive question, you know, we vote on it to waive it. It's not an automatic.
Okay.
So whether you want to eliminate that or require them to put it in as a one-line item, then if we waive it, it's waived.
Okay.
But there may be a question, since it's not an automatic, it was my understanding, that we automatically waive it, although we have. That you go out there and put a proposal together, that the county's gonna waive it, since it hasn't been voted on, to me, it's not a guarantee, although it probably will be.
I don't think
It
it's
may be
right.
something Wade may want to run it by Wade. And I don't want to keep falling back on Wade, but he's our legal. You're putting something out there that's already hasn't happened.
Yeah. Okay.
And the reason I say that is because housing authority comes in each time and asks for it. If we had passed an ordinance or something for it, that would have eliminated that, but we didn't, so they have to come in each time to ask for it.
Okay, now, you want the city, if we're gonna demolish, you want the city to come in each time, or you want to feel that the contractor that's gonna do the work should come in?
We don't deal with the contractor,
Okay.
we would deal with the city.
Okay,
City or the housing authority, well, in this case, it's the city.
okay. We can do that, it's just a matter of knowing, you know, when we know we got a project going out, that we can come in and say, hey, we'd like to have these demolition fees waived and get the, you know, get the quote unquote official approval of that, that's fine.
But if you get your bid out there, they can put a one line item in there for the
Right.
landfill. And if it's waived, it's just omitted from the contract.
And the infrastructure, I don't know, personally, I myself, I would not want to exceed $20,000 on a one-time deal from infrastructure or parks and rec.
Okay.
And you can choose how you want to take that from which, but I would, that's my point, I would limit it to a one-time 20,000.
Yeah, I think the infrastructure and the parks deal stand a huge,
Oh, it's a major piece.
a major plus for all of our cities.
That's correct.
And I don't have any problem with maybe making an issue, or not an issue, but, can't think what I want to say. Something, waive something for a project like you're talking about. I just don't want to make, I'm not one to make it automatic.
Okay. No,
Because we open it up for this particular project. Another city come in, well, if you did it for them, can you do this for us? Another city, I don't want to open up a can of worms that we can't control or have some control
As far as getting rid of nuisance properties, whether they're light, I mean, most of them pose a major health risk as well.
Yep.
So
That's,
roads,
the condemnation hearing we're going through now is a health risk as well.
yeah, so I would, for any city, you know, if they come and say they want to use their infrastructure money to clean up some blighted properties, I would not deny them.
I mean,
We'd have to
I
take-
think if we're doing it for Burlington, I would not have a problem doing it for any other city either. I mean, I would don't know, but I don't want it to become an automatic. I want it.
Right. Okay, that's not a problem.
If it can be funded after the first initial investment by the city, I don't see a problem at all with it. It's just gonna help the city out, and help these properties.
And hopefully, once we have the sheriff's sale, we'll eliminate a bunch.
I would think we would need a motion to say that we're gonna allow them to do it, so that come back, there's never a question on it for a one-time deal.
Yeah, probably better.
I mean, I think. Because
I hate to eliminate it to, or hold it to a one-time deal. I mean, if it's an ongoing issue.
by one time, I mean right now, that's all we're gonna allow right now.
Right now.
Okay.
And
on. In the future, though, you're talking about putting budget money into it.
yes.
Of course, we just got through the budget. I'm a little bit
Right.
surprised maybe you didn't already.
Well,
put it in.
that's how we got it to 15.
I'm a little bit surprised you didn't already put it in there and then come in a week after you do the budget.
But, yeah, the
I'm here to
deal was,
I'm here to listen.
we
too.
started, and if you go into how Senate Bill 13 operates, you can't go above, well, you have all this neutral revenue stuff. And that put us at a neutral, basically a neutral revenue. I think we filed for exceeding that, but it was like $4,000, I think it's in the area of the exceeding, so like a quarter of 1 mil is what the whole deal is, but that allowed us to raise the amount that we have in that particular fund, and not if there were 1 mil for the city is $16,000, so if we raised it to 35, that would mean we'd have to have at least a 2 mil increase, and that ends up to being something in the neighborhood of 5 to 6% increase in the mill rate, and that's not what we want to do.
Does the city of Burlington have an ordinance or a resolution, something with some teeth in it that you can address the nuisance properties?
We
I'm
are,
not sure.
we have ordinances in place, but we're also looking at changing
Say,
ordinances to get, like you say, more teeth into them. There's things that we consider a nuisance, and we look at all the ordinances that have been in place for some period of time,
and it doesn't fit,
and it doesn't
the
fit.
resolution.
It doesn't fit.
That's what I'm asking.
And we're in
We
the
probably need to
process,
get more aggressive on some ordinances and resolutions.
we're in the process of getting that done.
The city has property they could sell or transfer some of that money over.
That would be a nice thing.
Well, so do we want to make a motion for a one-time? Is that what you're
I would
saying?
make a motion that we allow it for this, for one time. And with the fact that if something comes up later, they come back and read it. Or this is just a one-time deal right now.
The amount is,
The amount not to exceed $20,000 from infrastructure or parks and rec.
is that correct?
Yes.
I'll second.
Bob's moved, Don seconded. Any discussion on it? All in favor, say aye. Aye, motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. And we'll, every time we have additional demolition, we'll come and make sure that we can get the landfill fees waived so that we don't have conflicting bids on projects.
As of right now, it's.
Would it be best to do that prior to putting it out for bid? You could have a number,
Yeah, we can.
like a bid number and come in prior to, that way you can put in the bid that the landfill fees are waived for this
Yeah.
project.
That's what we will do. We'll have the timeline where we can do that.
Right.
It's not like we meet once a month, we meet weekly, so I mean, it doesn't add any length of time. And we're trying to streamline some of the processes and make them work on faster.
Yeah.
Faster.
Sure make it a lot easier when all the bids come back. You don't have to, some of these contractors won't, they'll just automatically put it in there, and
That's a good idea.
And so I just do it prior to putting it out for bid, just have a bid number and waive landfill for bid number, blah, 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 and then you send it out, so. And then you can state on the bid proposal that all the landfill fees waived.
Stand my view, I don't want to get to the point where we control everything you do. But I think the more you come forward and requesting landfill fees, that lets our communities out there know that there is a program in place to clean our cities up. And where if we just automatically do it and nobody comes forward, it'll get lost. So I think there's a plus in coming forward, not only from Burlington, but the other 5 cities in our county that, we want to be aggressive in cleaning up these nuisances. And by having it here, that's making everybody aware that there is a program in place.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
And I will be seeing you again then.
It's always Friday forward.
Be great.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank
you.
Heidi.
Or wait.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry I didn't have this beforehand. I was still trying to work on it this morning to revise the motion for this. I have on the agenda, so I'm getting copies of everything that entails the motion. So I'm coming in front of you today because we had this special use 2020 up to last year. The special use is going to be expiring this Friday, August 6th. The applicant has not finished 2 of the conditions on the special use to be able to finish off the permitting. So in your packet, the letter is the second document in. That's from Jason asking for the request to be able to extend the time frame of that special use case. And then he gives his reasons why. And his agent, Lisa, is also here too, if you have other questions. But, so according to our zoning regulations, the reason why I'm bringing this in front of you today is because they have a year from when it was first effectuating resolution was. So they had a year from August 6th of last year. So he's asking you guys to extend that. But I left it for the time frame for you guys to decide how long you'd like to extend that for.
Does he have an idea of a completion time?
Can we ask Lisa?
I'm sorry.
He's shooting for 6 months to a year, but he said he'd like to finish it in 6, weather permitting.
He needs to turn forward, I can't
Can you-
hear
Six,
things.
Can you hear me?
6 months,
Can you hear
shooting
me?
for 6, but no longer than a year.
How much of the fence is actually already constructed?
Can you
It
come here,
looked to me
Lisa?
like,
And how much is left to construct?
Let you talk.
Surgery, so he got a little over half done. So he just, there's a lot of delays, people that were supposed to do it. So that's why he had fallen behind, and then when you get winter in there, it kind of really messes stuff up.
So how many feet would you say is left to build?
I honestly do not know. He did not give me that information before he left.
You remember how many feet was originally supposed to be built, Heidi? Not that it matters, I mean, I think everybody's having, I mean, I've talked to a lot of contractors having problems. One, labor, two, more than anything is materials, so.
No, I don't remember how big the area was off the top of my head.
Hey, would this not go back to the zoning board before it comes to us?
Can I step in to that one, if that's okay? On 11-7, Bob, if you go down to paragraph 3, this is where it would come to you guys directly, because you guys made the governing body made the resolution. So you guys are the ones that would authorize the extension of the validity timeframe. So that's why it's coming in front of you.
It's already been approved, now it just needs to
Yes.
be extended.
Yes.
Okay.
I move that we move it out, give another full year for completion.
I'll second that.
What was the original reason for the fence being needed? Was it was just because they were along the highway, correct, and it was visible?
Because they were above the maximum amount of cars allowed
That's what it was.
per our zoning regulations. So they needed the fence to be able to hide the cars from sight.
I know here, 3 or 4 months ago, I asked Heidi when that project was gonna be completed. And I can't even tell you how much was completed at that time, because I don't remember exactly where the fence line was gonna be, but everything is still out front. Still doesn't look attractive at all, is what the project was supposed to do, but I was by there again this last week. Looks like some of the fencing's been built, but it doesn't look like a lot. But what percentage of it's been built, I have no idea. But it does, I have no problem with working with the people, but we don't want to get to policy where we just keep extending it for this reason or this reason or this reason. 'Cause
Does he need
it
a
isn't
full
very
year
attractive.
to complete it?
It would be nice since winter's coming up on him. But he says he'd like to have a year just because you got that leeway.
Evidently, there's not a contractor in place. If there's a contractor in place, it's been finished.
I would say.
Who built the fence to this point?
Jason and his staff.
They may be trying to do it on their own.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds like it.
I'm sorry, I can't hear a thing you're saying.
So it says in here, said request to extend the time period of so many days. In both.
365
365.
would be from August to 6th.
Okay, I'm just making sure. So, based on the recommendation of the county zoning and subdivision administrator, move to approve the written request from Jason Harsh for SU 2020-02 as to extend the time period from the original time of 1 year, August 6, 2020, To August 6, 2021, complete condition 1, build and maintain a solid 8-foot fence around temporary storage area for vehicles. And condition 3, provide a dedicated access easement agreement. Said request to extend the time period of 365 days is to without notice for public hearing as allowed per Coffee County zoning regulations.
I'll move.
Just moved.
Second.
Bob second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
You guys,
Thanks, Larry. We'll work with it.
Well, it says she was going to take till 10, we were gonna have a break, but it's 22. Good morning, Wayne.
Good morning.
Let's go ahead and have you come up if that's all right. Let you go on a break, I'm sorry. I should have asked.
Let him go ahead.
Okay.
Break after that.
You'll need a break after that. Is that what you said? Okay, yes, okay. Thank you, good morning.
Good morning.
I have a couple handouts. Construction center. In the motion, when we get to these, there's 3 copies each that have to be signed.
So one of these is to pass around, one is to keep on signing.
Well, what we're gonna have is there's 3 copies each of the same one. So I have to send 2 of them to the state and I keep one in the office. And so, as we have 2 different motions, one's for the high-risk rural road and the other one's for the 6A bridge.
Okay, so these are what you have in here, okay.
Yeah, so there's. So, I'll just, on call outs, we had a call out on Saturday. 24th east of Reaper, we had a tree down. Jeff basically responded to that one, cut it down, or removed it from the road. The next one is just the report itself, no road permits, 1 zoning permit. Just to report, our groundwater monitoring came back. They basically found no problems. But there is some discussion with actually testing one of the wells. It's well number 1. It's up gradient of the leachate. And so you may see something here built a little bit later from Blackstone, a proposal to do a little extra work that KDHE is requiring. But once again, the sampling all passed, but there will be something that's going to happen here a little later on. But once again, it's a little unusual to have a well that's up gradient that's being checked out, but KDHE is requiring it. The other one is we have a change order. And so that would be basically that section over on 16th Road. That's that section we've already talked about. I believe it was about 4 foot by 100 foot long is the change order that you have. And so that would be approval of the change order. The other 2 is basically the master agreements with KDOT. One of them is going to be the high-risk rural road, and then the other one's going to be the 6A project. And so that's what I have for the engineer's report. So motion number 22 is basically the change order of $522. Oh, I'm sorry. That is not correct. My change order, I've already had done that one over on 16th Road. So this change order is completing the asphalt project up on Lebo. Okay, so we basically overran that by 6.5 tons. And so that would be the change order of $522.93.
So based upon the recommendation, the county engineer moved to approve the change order number 1 for A2105-C hot mix asphalt project in the amount of $522.93. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
No move.
Jesse's moved,
All second.
Tim seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. So next, number 2 would be 2021-47, based upon the recommendation of the county engineer and approval of county attorney as to form, approve and sign KDOT form agreement number 229-21 for project number 16C5122-01, high risk rural road to improve safety for roadway widening on Old Highway 50 from Fauna to US 75 and enter into an agreement for transportation improvement project which may be financed through the use of federal, state, and local funds or a combination of thereof, and to authorize and direct the county engineer to sign all documents related to.
Other documents, but yes, sir.
No move.
All second.
Jesse's moved, Tim seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Third one would be based upon the 2021-48, based upon the recommendation of county engineer and approval of the county attorney as to form, approved and signed KDOT form agreement number 209-21 for project number 16C5074-01 Federal Aid Off System Bridge Program to replace County Bridge 6A located 0.6 miles north and 3.5 miles west of Waverly, and enter into an agreement for transportation improvement project which may be financed through the use of federal, state, and local funds or a combination thereof, and to authorize and direct the county engineer to sign all other documents related thereto.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Tim has moved, Jesse seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. So with that, there's 3 of the agreements each to be signed and 2 to move forward to the state. 1 I'll keep back in the office.
Wayne, on that last bridge, have we figured out how we're gonna be able to let them people get in and out?
We're building it next to the bridge.
Just build the side.
Yeah, at this point. What you're gonna find is in the application for the State Historical Society, they're gonna find that those wood structures or something unique type bridge is of historical significance. And so that's one of the reasons why we do it, make it easier that way through that permitting process. And 2, it's gonna allow access for the resident as we build.
East or west?
We're building west of it.
And that goes to another person's field also, right?
That's the reason why we're building west of it. And then that way, the bridge is gonna be, one would be able to handle the agricultural traffic that it cannot handle today. And so you're gonna have the ag on the west side. And so there will be a drive considerably going up into the property to make all that work as you move the bridge.
So basically, you're leaving the old structure there, the old bridge there.
Until it, yeah, and we'll basically after it's done, we'll barricade it off. But, put, basically pipes out there in front of it so people can't drive on it. But while it's being constructed, the landowners will be able to have access. So, yeah. Okay, construction zone, there's been a lot of work out there on the Bass Lake, also the chip and seal. We've had some issues with some equipment, even with our distributor truck, but we're still plugging away at this point. So right now they're finishing, they finished 22nd. They also finished Iris, that would have been south of 22nd. So 22nd would have been from Fauna to the county line. And then they're actually working today. They're over there on Shetland, up there by Waverly. They'll be working in that area, about a mile and a half there. And then they'll be also working south of Waverly there on Tree Field. So they'll be working on those. The asphalt contractor, that we were expecting to see over there on 16th, will not start till next week. So this time, we expect them to be starting around 16th and then start working their way around. So we have some patches that are open. We should, once the asphalt contractor starts laying the asphalt, they'll be taking care of those patches as well. So some temporary patching that's requiring some maintenance, continued maintenance as we go, but they'll be filled pretty soon. That's it, unless you have some questions. That'll be 10 o'clock, yeah, 10 minutes. Oh, edge lines on Old Highway 50, we talked about that, 5 miles. I cannot add that to the contract, but I can actually get another bid for that particular project. And so at this point to report, if you'd like, it's $1,070 per mile, so 5 miles, $5,350 is what the bid would be at this point. Most of the time they are pretty much the only one that submits bids, so you can almost call them like a single source at this time. But I can definitely call around and see if there's any other.
We're gonna lose it if we don't get it done pretty quick.
And if he can put it down the same time he's doing the other striping, it won't be until about October, generally when he comes in.
I think there's at least 30 holes there. And you guys just patched it 2 weeks ago or last week,
Yeah.
and it's already on the eastbound side, it's already getting pushed out again. So it's just,
The money for striping will be cheaper.
yeah, the sooner the better. If the person could push it in front of any other projects, I would try to do it.
When he gets in county, perhaps, we can do it first, but before that.
It's gonna save it as much as it can. And I would not be against having after we fix Highway 50 from Fauna to 75, keeping the stripe line at the original road width and using it as a shoulder instead of just a driving lane. After it gets fixed.
On 75,
No, from 75 to Fauna, after it goes through the new fix.
that'd be reviewed by, we're accepting federal funding, so that would
They
be
might
reviewed by
not have it, yeah.
Yeah.
I got you there.
the whole idea is there's a lot, the width.
Right.
That's all I have. So, well, the parking lot, we are working on the parking lot.
I had an idea.
Yes, sir.
We were talking about asphalt versus concrete. Wayne and I looked over the parking lot last Wednesday before we all left. I know the original parking lot, all the original concrete over there was done in '84. And the exit lane, if you will, some of that other was replaced like in '97, '98, maybe '99, but I don't think it was any sooner than that. But anyway, it was replaced because it's basically got to the shape where it is now. Like I said, it's back when Hub Casper was here. But anyway, if we want to turn it to asphalt for maintenance purposes, like a 3-foot valley through there, moving that flow line over instead of getting right there in that control joint like it is now, and that's where the issue arises. And then you can replace everything out and curb it, if you will, and asphalt in between, and then that would help with that overlay. Part 2.
I thought we had some pretty good ideas. There's some options, definitely.
But you'll have to come from back there by the sheriff's department, we'll get the elevation up. Like I say, that's aged out down there just because it's, like I say, again, the flow line and moisture gets down there and freezes, pops it out. So if you could shift that flow line over just a little bit and create a 3-foot valley gutter, so to speak, and eliminate it from settling in the crack.
Right.
Longitudinal anyway, would help immensely.
Mm-hmm.
My thought. So I throw that one out there for you.
What we talked about a little bit out there, yeah. But the idea on that is to bring a plan in so you can have some volumes, some quantities, and get some costs. Very unlikely that you're going to have any asphalt done this year. Just too late in the season, contractors are already committed. But there are some repairs, and I believe we've done some repairs onto it. Actually, Jeff went out there with a couple of buckets and put some cold mix in just to make it a little bit better. At this point, that's where we're at. So, fixing what we can at this point, but
Well, go back to, again, the idea of overlaying the entire parking lot just didn't look like a necessity, I guess.
a lot of good concrete out there.
Yeah.
Still,
I think a main reason it stayed so good up there is like, it's just parking. You don't get UPS truck, don't go through there, or
right.
trash truck and all like that, hard and heavy. That, most of the water goes through there and that doesn't help either, so.
So we'll bring back a plan hopefully soon and then let you think about some numbers and how far you want to go for the project.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Before you take off, Wayne,
Yes, sir.
need to request a 5-minute executive session with Wayne.
Okay.
Myself, the board, and Wayne, it deals with non-elected personnel.
Good.
75-43-19 B1.
I'll make the motion. And move,
I'll second.
Don seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Going in for 5 minutes at 9:58.
You got anything for us today, Matt, or you just did the
No,
list?
I'm just here, just seeing what's going on. We do have a few things coming up. We got the MS1, which is the hospital drill. We got some planning meetings going on, so we'll be doing that this year after they get done with the remodel. And then,
See, we got a training session here today. Are you
I just
involved in
assumed
that?
that's why he was here.
nope, just hanging out, seeing what's going on.
Oh, I thought that's why he was here, because we said.
I'd like to see you guys.
Oh, well, thanks.
I got a question, as just a citizen. Is there any money for like the parks and recreation? I know cycling around here there's a lot of people that have bikes, and like Waverly, or not Waverly, but Garnett has that, the bike path that goes along there. Have we ever thought about extending that into Coffee County?
I believe it, yeah. If you want to hang out for 5 minutes, we'll come back and talk about that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. We got some planning, doing this one drill. We've got Reno here this week for the site, so every 45. So, let's see, not really. We'll kind of keep you prepped for everything.
Yeah, yep, they do. They come in and they look at our stuff here as well. So, you know, we do. No, I don't expect here probably still. It's not out of the ordinary for them, so though, you know, changes, yeah, exactly. So it'll just be a time thing.
You had your check one of those items, and inevitably, I don't think I ever had one go through. Yeah, so you probably.
Well, we run into that a lot. That, you know, words have very, very specific, you know, the not the wrong person. Quite a bit. One of the things we notice. You keep track of all the stuff that we fill out certain reports and send it in. Well, now their time, they're from their so you gotta go through theirs and make sure it's for that's exactly what you know, 3 years ago we might have said it is, but
Make sure you reference right, red is right.
yeah, it's so you go about the facts correctly.
That's exactly what this process is about. When the first started, I didn't know about it. This is worse, because I don't have to look at it. We call engineer. And say, what do you mean by this? Why wasn't this included?
Yep.
And, or why didn't you include this?
Well, just like here, everything that goes through info in RC, that's been put out and responsible to put back. They, you know, they track it and talk about everything. Then it goes through, you know, they have specific groups of people for technical writing, legal writing, to make sure that even after you guys have the writing here, we're gonna make sure.
My very first one I did, I got caught. Not actually, she was a very great, she was a great person, great teacher. She said, "You need to sit down now." And she just goes, it's not that your work's bad, she goes, for me to look at the Secretary of Health and Environment, this is how I want you. And so what I did was rearrange their plans. She wanted to do that, that's what I was doing. And then see how anytime I had I wasn't prepared.
All is back.
Those people that really. And now we start talking. Okay, we are back. Pretty much at the end of our agenda, except for roundtable, but we'll have a 10-minute break and then we'll do roundtable.
If not, the same thing. Where is it?
Great.
So in answer to your question, no, I don't think anybody's actively pursuing such, but,
Would there be funds available to actually pursue it? You know, because if there's no money, there really doesn't ever make a whole lot of purpose in trying to start a project like that. But I know, like,
Well,
my
we've
wife,
got-
neighbors, drivers, they've got a whole group of, there's a lot of people that ride around. They don't wanna ride on 75, right? It gets pretty dangerous here. A lot of road riding when there's a nice trail or something like that that you can utilize. It'd be good.
Yeah, I think Bob's been kind of trying to pursue something from New Strong to Burlington. I know I've rode across the dam and
Well, you can, yeah, you can see where people ride. All it has an app called Strava, but it posts like the routes people take, and so you definitely know what they're doing.
well, we got an engineer firm hired to assist in some of that planning, if you will, for items as such, community improvements, if you will.
Yeah. How would we go about getting something like that, maybe more formally started?
I don't know, I mean,
Just curious. 'Cause that's
where you live? You live in
I
New
live in
Strong?
New Strong.
That's
yeah,
not bad,
up by
okay, yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of gravel roads which aren't too terrible,
Mhm.
but, yeah, there's just things like that.
Well, most of the trails that you're talking about that I know about, I should say, were existing old abandoned railroad tracks.
Yep.
We don't really have that per se nearby or.
Well, I mean, we've got some west of the town, because I know we rebuilt a set of railroad tracks, to bring in the new turbines,
Right.
but, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I just figured if there was something like that we could look into, would be really nice, because if you could connect it up, that'd be quite a distance.
Well, see, and a lot of those are done by KDOT, designed and done by KDOT. Osage County's doing a bunch. They have done a bunch. Franklin County, I mean, a bunch. And most of it, like I say, I believe it's grant money from the state just for what you're talking about, basically just pedestrian bicycle trail. That's what they always call it that.
So it's a state grant.
That would be, as far as getting pursue that a little more, that'd be more like a Wayne question. But like I say, we have an engineering firm hired right now for, like I say, it is like a community improvement program. I mean, I think like for Burlington per se is upgrading their sidewalks and ADA ramps and this and that and the other. Huh?
Sidewalks.
Huh?
Like the 6 that existed.
Yeah. Well, therein lies the problem, I mean, I know I see, I'm out early in the morning, I leave the house like 5:30. And there's people running down 16th Street, 3 abreast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all got their lights and stuff on, which is great, but.
Yeah, there isn't a lot of stuff like that that's good and safe for the community.
Yeah.
Without being on the road.
Mhm. And I know the city at one time, they started down there at COF with a decent sized sidewalk and was headed toward town. Out there by the Ford and Chevy dealership. It was headed toward town. I think just kind of administration change and kind of fizzled out, but I don't think you're the first one to inquire.
Well, I'd be curious if there's something. I know my wife would be really on board. I know there's a group of people that are big into it in the community, that maybe if we could figure out a way to push something forward, it'd definitely be a benefit. But if there's a state grant, I'll see if I can find something about that and how to.
Now, I believe like Wayne has the knowledge to set up the paperwork to apply for those grants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
KDOT. But the deal of it is, you have to have an engineer, basically it has to be shovel ready, so to speak, and then presented to the state. And then there's nothing shovel ready to my knowledge.
Okay, well, that's all right. I mean, as long as you got a place to start.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody like you guys got, okay, this would be a good spot, all we gotta do is get easements or whatever, then, again, we've got an engineering firm.
I'd be definitely interested in that. I appreciate it.
Wayne would like to communicate with you on that, I'll bet.
Yeah. I'll reach out to them.
Okay.
Thanks.
And are you still working at the sheriff's office part-time or anything?
No, I was working with Sage part-time, but
Oh, I
not there anymore.
relax a little bit.
Yeah, between here and still on New Strong Fire, so that's good for me.
That's enough.
Yeah.
Your daughter go to college already or about ready to?
August 15th.
Oh, 15 days.
My mom's sad. She's excited, but
Yeah, mom's not.
I know, like, oh, counting, like, that's so weird. But then, like,
I don't understand where the summer went.
I don't either. And just the thought of, she's excited. She's like, I won't have to tell you, like, where. I'm like, no, but you still will, right?
I think Luke, we moved Luke in the 21st.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy how quick it's going.
So we were back, time for roundtable. I know Wade had some things he wanted to share with us, but he's not here at the moment, so we'll start with Andy.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
Jesse?
Not to my knowledge, unless it slipped my mind. I don't think I have anything.
I have nothing.
Well, hopefully Wayne shows up pretty quick.
I'm not gonna mess it up, so move ahead.
I had Andrew make copies of the proposal that Goldberg sent us for drawn up, basically furnished technical big documents for the HVAC system at the courthouse to make it what I call virus friendly. It lists out everything they're going to assist with. They're going to draw up the documents, site visits, inspect the quality and completeness of the work.
Basically, they're just overseeing the project.
Project manager, yes, and drawing up the bid documents.
Who's the sub? Or do
Well,
we?
we're going to send it out for bids.
Oh, okay.
Remember, I remember correctly, and Andy can correct me if I'm wrong, but she presented something from a firm, and then we decided it was high enough that it needed to be sent out for bid. So that's when I got in touch with Goldberg to see if he would draw up the bid documents and the specifications based off,
Their findings.
the findings and stuff like that. Because like I say, it was a dollar amount high enough to warrant advertising it for bids. I mean, I know we have our normal maintenance with a certain firm, but this is enough dollar amounts. So some other people in the area maybe will be sending out for bids. I don't remember the exact dollar amount, but it's substantial. So,
I'd say sooner the better.
I guess, I guess we need a motion for the county to enter an agreement with Goldberg for said services in the amount of $15,000.
Has Wade approved this?
Well, you know,
Because
I know he has a copy of it, so
I guess my question is,
it's over the
it's
10,000.
going out for bid, so how come this isn't going out for bids to see who draws up the contract?
The only reason, because this has been kicked down the road for many months now, many weeks, however you want to word it. That and Goldberg's been in tune with the design of the courthouse and how everything lays as it is. He's part of the jail study. I mean, if you want to send this out for bid too, then you can kick it down the road another 6, 8 months and
I just want Wade to confirm that it is okay that we do this. That's all.
probably correct in that.
I mean, usually
I know he said he had some stuff he was
He's
share.
here. He's inbound.
He's inbound.
As long as he makes a left and not a right. Yeah, his arm's full of new material.
So I talked about the email I got from Goldberg on a proposal to basically draw up bid documents and be the project manager, so to speak, on the HVAC system, virus friendly. And I was attempting to make a motion to sign an agreement with them, but I neglected to speak with you prior to that, I guess, so.
So, I guess, maybe to catch me up, I have the document. I talked to Ms. Goldberg last week. This is in reference to the tier 1 of the 3-tier agreement that the county had with Larry Goldberg. Tier 1 was tied to the COVID funds and seeing what needed to be done to get this building COVID compliant, I guess is the best way to put it. So he prepared and presented his recommendations, which is what I think, and it included electrical, mechanical, the different HVAC options all over the building that would make the county, the air handlers, that type of thing. So my understanding is now the document that is before the board today is his proposal on putting together the bid specs that would then go out for formal bid and then to manage that process to make sure that it complies with what his group put together and represent or provided to the county. Is that a long way of probably what you said before I came in here?
Pretty much.
So, I mean, I think this is for non-professional services, so you have the option to make the decision to move forward with Mr. Goldberg. I think the upgrades are probably important, especially with what's going on nationwide. Just get the building in compliance so that at least there's a mitigation strategy in place. And it's $15,000, so that you as a board get to make that decision. And if that's what you want to do, then I'll put together a motion, but I need to sit down and put that together.
Okay.
The question was, why didn't this portion go out for bid from Bob to do the assessment, but that was his concern.
I think the reason why Goldberg put together this proposal. I mean, it can probably go out to multiple other people if you want to put together this, but Goldberg's the one that put together the original study analysis. He had his, I don't remember who they were, Bartuzzi and Associates, or whoever it was, and they had that long and extensive analysis of what they felt the county needed. And it had the diagrams, and I think it just made sense, at least at that time, to have Goldberg at least put together this document. Now, if you want to go somewhere else, you can go somewhere else and have another one of these put together.
But you're gonna kick the can down the road 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of that.
I don't know either.
I'm not opposed to this, my question was, can we do this without sending it out? That was my question.
I think sort of what the catalyst for where we are today is we had a local business put together a bid to get our HVAC updated, and it went over what the requirement is. It needs to be sent out for bids. So to get it sent out for bids and to make sure that it's done right, since we had an engineering firm in the process originally, I think that's why this proposal was put together, that you can move forward without it. Now, whether it meets what the study showed or not, then you deal with the back end of that. So the person who would be in the better position to discuss what services he can provide and why this is something that he recommends, at least on the feasibility study, is Larry Goldberg, because that's his field, not mine. And I think he'd be available to answer those questions, Bob, because I can't. And that's obviously not my field of expertise.
Well, I don't think it was a question for him, it's just the question is, can we do this without sending it out? That's my question. I'm not saying he can't do it, I'm just saying, can we do this without sending it out for bids to get someone to be the general contractor, whatever you so call it?
You can. What I do is point you back to what his recommendations were and all the different itemized listing. And if there's somebody who is comfortable going through and can put in bids to the county in reference to that particular document, then I think you can operate without them. But that I don't know. So we can put it on hold, wait a week. I'll see if I can get some additional information, maybe answer some of your questions, and then.
Well, I don't have one simple question. Can we legally do this without putting it out for bids?
This part of it?
Yeah.
It's a professional service, so I don't think we need to have a bid for this particular part of it.
Okay, that was all the answer that I needed.
I thought you were talking about the other part.
No, that's all. That's
No.
okay.
Yeah, I misunderstood, sorry.
No, okay.
It was, his proposal's based off the feasibility study he done.
Right.
Dated March 30th, 2021, so. For me, Goldberg was already in tune to what we were looking for, what we're after, so. Do you need to put together a motion to approve this, or can I just say?
And you could put something together, maybe I'll just throw words in if they need to be.
Well, like I say, I was attempting to make a motion to accept Goldberg's proposal on the, on his proposal dated July 16, 2021, stating, he's gonna, draw up the bid documents. You're gonna have a pre-bid conference as well as follow up the, completion of the project. Overseen as the county's inspector and site manager, so basically all it says here in this proposal for $15,000. Not very well versed in that one there, but
Yeah, I'll probably need to help clean that up and come back.
okay.
Yeah,
I like to move forward. I mean,
I understand.
we've kicked this, say, can long enough, so. But the present state that the nation's in right now, better off we are.
I'd like for it to be memorialized the right way, especially with $15,000, so.
Okay.
If we just table your motion, take it up at the end.
Okay.
I have a few minutes to word it the right way. Is that fair?
Fair enough. So that was all I had for roundtable. We'll go back to Andrea.
Well, that actually brings up a question for me then, like on professional services then, as far as getting them bid out. It's like one of our, the plumbing company who regularly does a lot of our work. There's a job that might turn into a bigger job. So if they're a company who's already familiar, they're already working, they've already invested time. If that turns into a larger project, does that need to go out for a bid?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
That's, so professional services sort of has its own designation. An architect is considered professional services that's outside the bidding process, similar to getting an attorney. I mean, those are considered professional services, and there's, we can go into the definitions of those things later, but to get a plumber in and to deal with that, a big project like that, it needs to be bid because it's a different type of service.
Or are you talking if they're here for a routine little repair project and it turns into something more extravagant than original thought? Is that your meaning?
Right, because there's something that could potentially, a drainage issue that might be fixable or might turn into a major, but then now they're the ones that are working on it as a minor. So that if they end up finding, okay, this is a lot more than it's, okay, well now stop because now it goes out for bids. Is that kind of how that?
Yeah, we'll have to back up and start on that one.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to this because it's Goldberg, because he actually presented some of this to it. But when you get to the professional services, we used to had a department head who would go out and just get one professional service, and we as a board says, no, we're going to start taking bids on those things. So that's why I ask if this is legal. If it's legal, I'm not opposed to it one bit.
It depends on how you want to,
And I want to move on with the project.
how you want to operate as a board. You can solicit more bids if you want for professional services, or you can move forward, but you do need to be consistent. Now, in this instance, Goldberg prepared the feasibility study, so someone would have to get up to speed and know exactly what that feasibility study said in reference, but I don't see an issue moving forward with what's presented, but that doesn't mean that you can't pursue another option.
I'm fine with what you said. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
My thing with Andrew is you got a contractor in here fixing something and and it turns into something a little bigger, is it gonna cost you more with whoa up, stop what you're doing? We need to put this out for bid versus get it fixed? I mean, and I'm assuming if it's in the jail or something, you know, what's that causing as far as a backlog of people? I mean, you have to put the brakes on and send inmates to another location because you're out 3 jails or 3 rooms. I mean, where do you stop the bleeding?
I think it depends on the price tag, because, and the price tag makes a difference on how you move forward.
But if you already got somebody in position that's working on it, you're gonna have mobilization.
And there may be an emergency exception to moving forward within the policy, but we need that information to move forward. So if it's an emergency and you have to move forward out of necessity, then there may be a way to override that decision, but I don't know that. Those are facts that haven't been presented.
We just gotta decipher if it's an emergency or not, right?
But if that is the case, then it needs to be clear in a meeting here that if you're gonna spend, let's say, throw out $18,000 to fix a problem, then it needs to be explained in detail why you cannot wait. Because if out of necessity, it's an emergency type situation.
I agree. That it?
I think that's it for me.
So back around to you, Chief.
So I've got several things, a lot of paperwork, but I think the sheriff is also coming down to give an update on the Justice Center jail. Just so Don had asked, and I think the sheriff's in a better position to inform this board and probably the public about what's happening and why. So while we wait, I've got a series of executive sessions to request. So the first executive session will start 15 minutes. Myself, the board, consultation with the county counselor to discuss current county policy and potential exposure to Coffee County related to the HR audit that was conducted by McGrath presented. Majority of that discussion occurred in executive session because of some of the issues that HR audit involved. In this particular executive session is to discuss that subject matter, but the proposals to mitigate that exposure by the 2 entities that came in and presented, standing in front of the board, but also in executive session. So I don't know if it can be any more clear what we're going in for, but that's what the discussion will be in reference to, and that's under KSA 754319B2. The subject matter, because of what it involves, is subject to the attorney-client relationship, and that's why I'm requesting 15 minutes myself and the board.
Also moved.
Second.
Jesse seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0 for 15 minutes. We're going in at 10:37.
Mark?
How you doing, Mark?
Well, gentlemen,
Morning, Bob.
how are you?
Good, how are you? Been all right in the AC?
Well, it's not bad.
Polish these boots. What executive session, Andrew?
Yeah, they should be back in like 3 minutes.
You gonna be around, Bobby? Yes. I'm gonna want you here pretty quick. So again, I'm gonna want you with me here in a little bit.
Was it a quiet weekend in Coffee County?
I couldn't tell you, I moved. I spent a week moving. I didn't get a phone call, but I did too. That's some small questions I had asked.
You don't get phone calls.
No emergencies. But nothing that I'm aware of that caused me to quit my boxing and loading and unloading to the point that I could not find a razor or shampoo this morning. I slept until 1:30 in the morning. That's no kidding, I'm not kidding. So luckily I found my travel kit in my suitcase and found, little shampoo bottles and stuff that had from the hotel. And body wash, but
We're all very happy about that.
Yeah, thanks, you appreciate it. Everybody on YouTube can, yeah, send me your spare bottles of shampoo and soap, yeah. So for the fund meeting out, yeah.
That's pretty quick one, Eric. On top of the game this morning.
Don't expect too much.
So, yeah, it's just, I'm so sore. Got some muscles, yeah, it's for a while. Legs, my knees, my back. I hear you.
On Wednesday at 10. Meeting with me here.
Timothy?
Hey, guys.
Would you like to do on that Wednesday?
You going Grizzly tonight?
Pardon me?
You going Grizzly tonight?
What? Yeah, for what?
Well, you talked about going to city council meetings.
I've been set up, I've been gone all week, so I don't know.
We got Leroy sitting right too.
We back?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So there's been quite a few questions about the jail project and what's happening with it. And I know Commissioner Meeks stopped me in the hall and asked me, what's the update? And I think the best person to talk about where we are with the jail and what the plan is moving forward is the sheriff. He's sort of the main person who has a stake in what happens because it deals with his jail, his facility. So he's here, the undersheriff is here. I just asked him to come down and maybe give the board, which would also in turn update the public on where we are, what's happening, and what we can expect moving forward.
Good morning, all.
Morning, Colin.
Excuse my look here today. I moved this week and at 12:30 or 1 o'clock this morning, I still couldn't find a razor in my boxes of things, literally, and I quit looking at 1:30. Luckily, I found my shoes. That being said, update for the jail project. We are still moving forward as always. We've got more renderings and drawings. The city obviously did not want to, well, I'm not saying they didn't want to approve, they didn't bring it to a motion, so I suppose they didn't approve it. Purchase of possible land at the industrial park. I personally think that some things were blown out of proportion by some city residents. Have some concerns that I thought that I had addressed, and maybe I didn't. Maybe I did, and they still don't want that. But that being said, I don't think that I can speak further without going into executive session due to some possible land purchases and funding without going into executive session. If I do that, I'd like to have Wade, the county commissioners, and myself and Eric and Bobby Skipper. I would like to have 30 minutes.
I'll move.
Jesse moved
All second.
and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0. We'll go in at We're going in 11:05. Tell that. Okay. Yeah. It's gonna be a trend.
Bye.
No.
You go.
Fifty, 56 then.
Good to see.
56 then.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Thank you, John.
You,
I'll see you this afternoon.
Yes, we're back.
Back to me.
Yes, sir.
Need to request, one final executive session. Myself, the board, need, our economic development director, and it's to discuss county policy in reference to, contractual issues that are ongoing with the county at this point in time. Those matters would be deemed privileged under the attorney-client relationship exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act, 7533/1992. I think that's 15 minutes. P2.
I'll make the motion.
Jim moved, Jesse seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're going at 11:35.
You gonna be late?
15.
Okay, in the fun. In the fun.
Make my brother try to trouble me.
Same thing highlighted on it.
Yeah. We are back. Anything else, Wade?
I think that's enough for one day.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else? So we have our EOC role training. We're going down to EOC for that? Is that correct?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Okay. It's at 1 o'clock. I guess we'll just leave it at 1 o'clock when we take a break. We can recess and come back.
We won't, I don't think we need to be in session for that because it's training and we're not taking any action.
Okay.
I would think we
All right.
could.
So we can adjourn. Unless somebody.
No.
You didn't have any? Okay.
I don't think they want to start before 1 o'clock. It sure don't take an hour to eat or. They don't make a difference.
Well, but since we didn't move them up, they take an hour lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we didn't change their,
and we didn't notify them that we wanted to be here early.
we'll just leave it at 1 o'clock. We'll adjourn at 11:53.
No. They get their. See you later, Sunday. At least I can get a healthy.
Exactly. Angie, have a good week.
You too.
Andre, you too.